which is if you could message us privately in the chat, that would be fine, or just switch your camera off so we can't see you. If anybody's got a question later on, can you make sure you raise your hand with the button to do that, and then I'll know who's got a question. We've also got the chat function up and running, so you can ask questions in the chat as we go along as well. If something comes to mind as we're speaking or something you want to say, please use the chat function as well as we go through the evening. So first thing wanted to consider really is what actual, we called it social enterprise, but what that is. And I think this when we started to think about this, it's quite confusing in the terms to what this is, because it's called many different things, but basically it's I think some sort of trading, so people paying for a service or product within the spectrum of your governance model of what it could be, a charity, or it could be a social enterprise model. There's many models you can work within. So there are confusing terms, you know, some people call them social ventures, social enterprise, not-for-profit trading arm, community business. But actually, I don't think we should get hung up on that. This is, I say, about doing things differently and looking at things differently. And if you have something in your community, or you've got something as an individual that's socially focused, so it has a social outcome, and you want that approach to not make a profit, then there are many different approaches that we can use to support you. So I think it's not about getting hung up on the name. It's about thinking about that from a community or an individual point of view, and then thinking about how that is socially focused and what you want the outcome to be around that. We are fortunate that the Cambridgeshire and Peterborough Combined Authority have actually supported 2 programmes which we've linked into here to support communities, and that's support through business advice and also grants. So we will detail that as we go through, but this is a good opportunity, I think, for looking at doing things differently within your charity, or within your group, or within your individual self, as a way of sustaining its future. So it's really about, say, scaling up what we do, the growth in your business, the chance to ensure that your community's assets will thrive in the future, because we all know funding is getting short. So I think that, you know, this is a different approach that will help things that may be failing otherwise in your community. So why Cambridgeshire Acre is involved? Well, actually, we've always had a strategic aim as a charity to support rural economy and provide support to strengthen business that encourages people to network together. So we have always supported community enterprises. How we've done it in the past, we've been doing that through EU funding. Many of you might have remembered the LEADER programme that actually supported many community ventures, and many of them are thriving today. So actually we have been doing this work for a long time. It's just obviously EU funding has stopped, and now the investment is coming more from the combined authority into the work. Obviously, as a charity, we have significant networks and connections, and we have been working with rural communities through the start of this programme to get the message out about this support, and obviously you've heard that because you've come along today. We wish to obviously support this because we do know that often traditional rural business fails, and it often fails because there's not enough people there to support it, or there's not enough, mainly it's not enough people to support that trading, and it needs to be subsidised. But I think, and you'll probably hear this from Plunkett, what we're saying, if you get community-led enterprise training, it often is sustained because the community have their ownership over that business. So, you know, it works very well in rural areas, and we've got many examples where this approach does work when it's community-led, or even if it's individually led, when an individual runs a programme within a community. Obviously we want people think about doing things differently. And I do think, and we've heard a lot about public sector investment into rural areas, the lack of funding. Many contracts and things are failing because they don't work effectively from a person doing it from away. This is really about this market failure again. It costs more for those agencies to deliver things in rural areas, and we're lacking in services and facilities, which might be lost forever unless different approaches are taken in the future. And through the money, the investment from the Combined Authority, that's allowed us to develop relationships with Plunkett and Alia, who are specialists in this area and can give us that specialist support to support you. So I think it really is a really good opportunity to take things forward at this time. And obviously we want to make sure that our members don't miss this offer, hence tonight and further work we're going to be supporting in the future. So why might a social venture be relevant to your community? Well, you might be experiencing a problem, have identified a problem you want to solve. Then obviously you can work on that problem and solve it in a different way. You might have spotted a gap in services, things that have failed or being lost. That could be, say, your pub, your shop, playgroup, anything like that might be being lost or might not be there or been lost. You might believe that all business should operate in this way. I mean, there is a lot of people now that want to do business in a social way and support that. So I think, you know, there's a lot more support for that now. You might need to sort of have your charity you've already got. You might be earning income through grant funding, but to survive you might need to diversify that portfolio of funding income, and I think that's more likely to be many. You might be a charity, but you might be finding that quite difficult to raise the funds, and you might think of other ways to do things, and to do that you need to do some trading as well alongside other charitable objectives and other charitable work. You might not want to rely on handouts and donations or volunteering. You might think, well, actually, we need to make this more sustainable for the future. It can't carry on like this. We need to get this onto a more sort of trading footing, people paying differently perhaps for those services. And you might be inspired by the examples we're going to show you here tonight to what a social enterprise can do and what a community-owned business can do. So I'm going to pass over to Alison now, who's going to go through some examples. I think you need to unmute yourself, Alison.
Sorry, that would help, wouldn't it? Yeah, okay. So I thought it would be useful to sort of look at what some of these social ventures might look like. And I thought it'd be useful to look at some local examples as well, because I think trying to make it relevant to you, places you'll have heard of and things that you can actually see happening within this county. So the first one on the left-hand side there is actually a community cafe, and that's at Cottenham and in the Cottenham Community Centre. And I think, you know, going back to Kirsten's point about, you know, a lot of community buildings are charitable and they're looking for ways at which they can grow their income. And so something like setting up a community cafe is a really interesting way of doing that and bringing more footfall into your community building. The picture on the right, I have to say, isn't Cambridgeshire, but it was the best example I could find of a community work hub. So that's a space where people come together to work. You know, people, so many of us now are working from home, and a workspace in a community building that people obviously contribute. You know, they're going to purchase that as an offer from you is another way of generating income for your community building, particularly if you've got space that perhaps is sitting there not used for other activities. Go on to the next slide, please. These next examples are village shops, and we've got lots of great examples of community-owned shops in Cambridgeshire. The one on the left is the community shop at Houghton and Witton. And that's been going, the shop apparently has been in the area since 1847, but obviously more recently it's become community owned. And you know, they actually, as a business, they are now able to financially support other community activities as well. The one on the right is the community shop at Great Paxton, and that one opened in 2017. And that's been set up using the model of a community benefit society, and funds were raised to purchase the actual facility for the shop. But the shop now has a paid manager, who you can see in this picture, who's supported by volunteers as well. We can look at the next slide. Other great examples, I think, of social ventures in Cambridgeshire. I say we've got a whole host of community pubs as well. So the one on the left, you may have been to some of these, is the Green Man at Triplow. That's since 2012, that was actually bought out by locals and has become a community-owned pub. It's actually got 71 shareholders. It's run by a board of village people, a bit of directors who come from the village, but they've actually appointed a tenant now to actually run the pub and the successful restaurant there. 2012 was obviously a really good year for pubs, because that's also the year that the one on the right, which is at Horningsea, it's the Plough and Fleece at Horningsea, that's also when that one became community owned. So I don't know what happened in 2012, but it was a very good year for pubs going into community ownership. On the next slide, Kirsten. Here I'm talking about community land trust. Now, you might have heard of community land trusts, and typically community land trusts are set up to develop and build and then run housing. As you can see here, this picture here is the community land trust at Streatham and Wilburton. But community land trusts do provide the structure that can then be used to develop and own other assets. The one on the right is quite a favourite of mine. That's the community farm at Wisbeach. And again, community farms are something that quite often, have a real social purpose. So this one offers therapeutic activities to the community members in Wisbeach. And it's another great, it's run by People and Animals CIC. So again, slightly different structure in terms of how it's run, but you know, run with a real social purpose about making a difference in that community. The next slide. I'm just going to talk briefly here about micro care provision. I don't know whether it's something that you'll have heard of, but this is where sort of care and support services are established at a very sort of a micro level, so a very local level. So it might be individuals, it might be groups, it might be community organisations and small businesses who set themselves up to offer real personalised and flexible support to people in their communities. So that might be home care services, it can be things like supporting people with exercise, social activities, or employment. So this example, again, this is a picture I've stolen from somewhere else, but it's just that idea of somebody very local providing very personalized support to somebody in their community, that's allowing that person to live independently for longer. And we've seen that Cambridgeshire County Council have done some great work supporting these micro care providers to set up and establish themselves. And I think we might have somebody on the call, I think Natalia from the County Council's on the call tonight, and she works in that area and perhaps might want to say something about that a bit later. And then the other example is, obviously, Kirsten mentioned earlier about playgroups. You know, if there's a demand for that in your village, but that it's not been able to thrive through a commercial provision, it might well be something that, you know, with that sort of more social purpose behind it, you can actually make work with the support of community members. So there's some sort of real examples, and I guess we just wanted to then move on to the next slide, Kirsten, which just talked about the support that Cambridgeshire Acre can offer. And you're going to hear a little bit more in a moment about from our partners at the Plunkett Foundation and Alia about the support they can offer. But perhaps almost before you get to them, there's a real offer that Cambridgeshire Acre can now give you. And part of that is just, you know, Kirsten mentioned this is about a spectrum of activity. You might not be at the point of wanting to set up a business. You might just have a really early stage idea you'd like to explore a little bit further. And one of the things that we can do is we can offer you a free, completely free online scoping session where we can actually sort of, you know, just tease out your idea with you a little bit and work out perhaps more what you could do with in terms of support, to be able to really refine those ideas and begin to move towards the idea of setting up a social venture. So that's something we'd be very keen to offer anybody on this call tonight, if that's something people would like. But then leading out of that, some of the additional things that we can then do are things like, you know, helping to develop business plans, beginning to think about governance, beginning to really test your market, find out who your market is, who your potential customers are, who your competition is. You know, the idea that you've got for this social venture, is it a go, you know, is it a good idea? Is it something that's going to thrive in your community? So you can see some of the things on there that Cambridge Rave has got a lot of experience in helping communities with. And as I say, so that's definitely something we'd love to talk to you about. But then after that, you know, we will then be able to signpost you to the best organisations that can really then work with you to get your business, your social business, up and running. That was all I wanted to say, Kirsten, if that's okay.
Okay, thank you, Alison. That's great. I'm going to stop sharing that. We've got a little bit of time, so I didn't know at this juncture if anyone's got any questions they want to ask, ideas they've got floating around that they might want to discuss for their own situation, community.
If not, Kirsten, I wonder whether, if nobody's immediately put their hand up, whether Natalia would just like to have a quick word.
Yeah, where are Natalia? I think
a bit more about micro enterprise.
Do you want to say it? Yeah, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but that would be really useful about the micro enterprise. If you could just introduce that a bit more. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course. It's me, my colleague Anne, which we are covering. I'm covering Finland, she's covering Huntingdonshire and East. So we are supporting small businesses to set up, or the businesses which they are already in a place, to become care micro enterprises. So we are supporting with the training. So we are signpost to NACAS and different company which we need. The people which they want to sign to our project, they need to go through our checklist. So it's kind of like basic stuff which they need to have. So for example, DBS, insurance, and kind of stuff which need to they need to follow the steps, I can say. So then if the people, they go through this whole project, so we are supporting them with kind of marketing. So we are passing the whole information to all our partners, and they are on our, we can say, distribution list. So we are passing this list to all our internal colleagues, so social workers, social prescribers, and any other, you know, partner which they work with us. And as well, because as a part of our checklist is that the people which they join the project, they need to sign in our term of engagement. So this is helping us that we are able to, like, using like GDPR and things like that, the consent which they give us, so we are able to share the information which the people are giving to us to other partners. As well, we are supporting with all kind of, like, if someone want to be CQC register. So we go, if we don't know, like, for example, if someone have a question regarding the CQC, if we don't know, we can ask and support with this situation. Or if someone is not CQC registration, but want to do normal personal care and is just as a sole trader, so we are supporting in this as well, but need to go through our more checklist, which is more specialized for the personal care. We have different type as well, so we are like splitting the whole I would say model of care for the three different things. So it's holistic care, which is kind of different than normal type of care, I can say. So it's kind of like gardening, pet care, supporting with administration tasks and things like that. So we are supporting with everything. So for example, if someone to have training, so we try find provider which can provide this training for the person, and we assign post. If someone want to do personal care plus holistic care, it's like combine system of care, so they can actually, we can help with this as well. And yeah, this is kind of what we can maybe, Anne, if you want to add something from yourself as well. She's on the call.
I am.
Hiya. Yeah, so lovely to meet everybody. Yeah, so as Natalia was saying, there are 3 of us we are called Care Micro Enterprise Development Offices, longest title in the world, I know. But basically there are 3 of us in position. So I cover Huntingdonshire and I'm covering the East Transition because it was developed in the East district initially about 2 years ago by a company called Community Catalyst. So you may be familiar with that. Alison alluded to the fact that there were some CMEs, as we call them, care micro enterprises, that had already been developed. So yeah, we took that over because it was taken in-house by Cambridgeshire County Council from July this year. So we've actually been in position since April. And like I say, I cover Huntingdonshire and this East Transition. Natalia covers Fenland, and my colleague James actually covers South Camden City. But we can be found on our CME development joint inbox, so we can actually put the contact details in the chat, etc. So you can always contact us if you need any further information, and I'm sure Alison will be able to send out some further information later on if we send it to us. So thank you for that, Alison. But basically, as Natalia said, it is split between the 2. It is that holistic home care support and it is that personal care support. The holistic home care is the wraparound support. So, for example, we quite often use the analogy, if somebody wanted a gardener, then basically they could just employ a gardener. The difference between the sort of person that covers holistic home care that might support with someone's garden is the fact that they're actually doing that welfare check as well. So it is all about making sure that that person's socializing, perhaps have a cup of tea with them. You know, they may be there in essence to cut the lawn, but it isn't just about that. It's that wraparound support, if you like. And that's why each of our CMEs, even if, and I say even if, obviously it's not just an even because it's quite a big job, they are just supporting with holistic home care, then they will have to do those essential checks that Natalia was alluding to, because obviously it's very, very important that we make sure that people are as safe as possible and the companies that are being developed feel really confident in knowing what to do when they go in to support someone. So yeah. I've probably been rattling on for far too long.
What we will do, we'll obviously get the information off both of you and include that in the information after this meeting. I think the message from us would be how good this scheme is, because it actually supports people who are enterprising and want to set up their own social business in their community to support something that's very needed in the community, the sort of holistic care and the care. And I think on all reports, with an aging population, this is going to be more and more needed, and we do need a solution in rural areas. And I think this is a fantastic solution, isn't it, to bring more people?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I didn't say, which I probably should have said, is that it is very place-based. That is the essence of our message. Yeah, and it is. So obviously, please do get in contact with and put the message out in your communities so that we can actually try and support as many little micro enterprises as possible to help people in their local areas. So they could have been doing it naturally anyway. It might have been spun off from the COVID response, and they really like actually supporting people in their local community and perhaps think, do you know what, I'd like to actually run that as a business now. And so they're the sort of people that we're looking for. So keep your ears to the ground, as it were, and please signpost anybody our way that actually would like to set up a care micro enterprise, but also if they require support, then obviously get in contact with us, because we have got some CMEs, as we call them, up and running now to hopefully support people.
No, that's great. If we can probably follow up and we can actually send something round to all communities.
Brilliant.
That would really help, wouldn't it? So I'm just looking at the chat before we go on. And Tim asked about the process of setting up a one-to-one scoping session, and what do we do? well, after this we'll come on to that, but yes, if anybody wants to code, so we can set that up straight away, and come out and speak to you, or speak to you online, whatever's easiest with that. James said interesting community-owned energy schemes where community builds its own power generation. We can definitely speak to you about that. I don't know the circumstances, but obviously in Cambridgeshire there is already precedence for that, for some community energy schemes that have been set up by the county council, so there was some expertise there, so we can definitely look at that. I think I'm just going down. We have a commercial pay group struggling with the ongoing use of the parish council owned building, which needs to be updated. Cannot update the building, we'll have to consider moving. So I think with the play group, I think this is Nick, with the play group, what I would suggest on that is to look at the business model of your play group. If the premises is not suitable, we can help you look at the business model if you did want to move somewhere else, and what the sort of fors and against would be for that sort of a feasibility of looking at that to start with. Would probably be the best way forward there. But obviously all of these things are going to be bespoke because everything's different in every community. So it's about that individual conversation, I think, with us or our other sort of providers in this, and we can definitely start with that one-to-one conversation and go forward from there. Right, I think what we're going to do now, we've got Susie Middleton, who's from the Plunkett Foundation. Susie, do you want to do your presentation next and speak about your offer and how you're working in Cambridgeshire? I think you've got some slides to share, haven't you?
Yeah. Thank you, Kirsten. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. I'm just going to try and share my screen.
Yeah, no rush.
Okay, am I in the right view? I think it might have flipped back so you can see
I
my
think
notes.
you're in presenter view. You need to get back to the other view. I don't know why it keeps doing that.
Is that better?
Yeah, is that all right for everybody? Yeah.
Yeah, great. Good. Okay, just get my notes up. Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Susie Middleton, and I'm a project manager at the Plunkett Foundation. We're a charity, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what we do and the support that we're providing for communities across the Cambridge and Peterborough Combined Authority at the moment. So about the Plunkett Foundation, first of all. So we've been around for about 100 years, supporting communities to ensure that they are thriving and resilient. Mainly communities within rural areas are the ones that we support, and we help them to set up and run a wide range of community-owned businesses. So that might be, as Alison touched on earlier, community-owned pubs or shops, or community-owned woodlands, breweries, distilleries. There's no end really to what a community business can look like, and as I think Kirsten said, they really are generally set up to address an individual community's needs. We work to raise awareness of the community business model across the UK. There are some areas where there are lots and lots of community businesses, and there are some where there are very few. And we provide free business support and training to help these community businesses to get set up, and then once they're up and trading and their doors are open, that they are viable and sustainable. And we also have a team who are dedicated to representing the interests of rural community businesses through research and policy advocacy and work in public affairs. We're also a membership organisation, so we have over 600 members who benefit from additional support and more access to networking and training events, etc., and a range of discounted services that are relevant to their individual businesses. And we offer a model rules service. So once a community business is in a place to incorporate, we can talk them through legal structures and help them to register with the FCA if that's the route that they choose. So how would we define a community-owned business? we use power to change's definition, and that means that the business would be locally rooted, that it would be trading for the benefit of the local community. So it is trading and it is making a profit, but that profit will be invested back into the business to ensure that it remains sustainable. And some of the profit would go back into the community. So it might not be going back directly into the community shop. It might be invested into the local youth club or the local dementia cafe or whatever it is that the members vote for. And that's the next point, accountable to the local community. So our community businesses are run democratically, where every member has the same voting rights. That's really important for us. And lastly, a broad community impact. So in terms of the support that Plunkett offers, if you are in a community and you have an idea about something that you want to do or something that you're worried about, for example, you're in a village and the last pub or the last shop is about to close, or it's closed and there's nothing left, and you think, well, we really want to save this, or we really want to bring this back, but we don't know what to do, we will help you from the very start. And we will help you to create an action plan. So those would be the steps that need to be taken from the very beginning to get you up and running, and what order those steps need to be taken in. And the action plan would be pulled together with you by one of our network of advisors who are based right across the UK. So Plunkett Foundation is based in Oxfordshire, but we have over 50 advisors based all over the country with different skills and different experiences, who we will pair with each community depending on the needs that they have. So we'll support you with an action plan. We'll support you with deciding on the legal structure that's right for you and help you with those governing documents. So that might be helping you to become a community benefit society or a community interest company. We can support with writing a business plan, and we can support with how to raise funds. There are lots of ways to raise funds, so we can talk you through what options there are. And I'm going to come on in a little bit to an event that we're running in Cambridgeshire next week, which is going to be looking in more detail about options for fundraising for community businesses. Once you're up and running as a community-owned business, we can help you with governance, look at committee roles and responsibilities so that everybody knows what they're doing. We can help you with financial planning and forecasting so that you remain sustainable. And we can help with succession planning. So I'm sure you all know a lot about volunteer fatigue, or people who have a lot of responsibilities to juggle, caring responsibilities or whatever it is. And therefore, you know, it's often not sustainable for the same people to keep these businesses going. You need to be thinking about what the next steps are and what the next chapters are. So we'll help with that. And similarly, recruiting and training and retaining your volunteers. And we can support with diversifying services. So a few years ago, we ran a really successful programme called More Than a Pub, which some of you might have heard about. And that was looking to support pubs with offering more than traditional food and drink. So perhaps offering Meals on Wheels to local elderly people who can't get out and about and don't have another way to have a hot meal. Or, as I mentioned before, the dementia cafe, or childcare, or drop-in clinics, or drop-in spaces for hairdressers, etc. So more than services. And then how do you raise the funds to be able to offer those services? And one thing we're really well known for is being able to support with the practicalities of running these businesses. So you might have an idea and a great bunch of people who formed a committee, and you might have an accountant on the committee and maybe an architect and a teacher and, you know, lots of people with all sorts of different skills, but none of you have ever run a hospitality business. So you don't know the first thing about it and where do you start? So we've got that expertise, so we can help with that. Plunkett also offers a wide range of events and training. You can see in the top left there, we ran a webinar this morning on how community businesses can really measure the social impact that they're having, and then how to translate that into writing successful funding applications. And this one, which I've scribbled on here, is relevant to you, hopefully. This is an introduction to community business and raising finance in Cambridgeshire, which we're running in partnership with Cambridgeshire Acre next Thursday in Horningsea. So we'll be covering in a little bit more depth what community business is and looking at some case studies. Cambridgeshire Acre and Plunkett will be talking again about what we offer, and then we've got a bit of a focus about the ways to raise finance for community businesses. It's going to be in the Plough and Fleece, which Alison showed you the photo of earlier. There's a free lunch. And we'll also hear from the committee and the tenant of the pub about how they managed to take on this pub, which is doing really well. So there's more information on how to register for that on our website. I'll put a link in the chat in a second. We have free resources, lots and lots of stuff for new groups. We don't expect you to become Plunket members immediately until you've sort of got some momentum going with your project, you've got your community backing, etc. But you can see some of the sorts of things that you can access there for free. And then members have a wider range of resources available to them. And then lastly, Plunket also has some funding from Cambridgeshire and Peterborough Combined Authority, and it's specifically to help communities to save assets that are at risk of closure, or which may have already closed, or communities who have identified a need for a service within their community or a building which could do more, and they want to look at running a community-owned business from within it. With their funding, we're able to offer free support, as I've just covered, and we've also got funding for this. So we've got feasibility grants of up to £5,000. So that would be to help you with things like getting a survey or evaluation done, or covering your early stage legal fees, your registration costs, or a year of Plunket membership. And then further on from that, we've got capital grants of up to around £48,000, which would be to help with the purchase of a premises or renovation or refurbishment. And that's available until March 2025. That's hopefully a very positive opportunity. And the way to access it would be to go on our website, where you can find all our contact details, or give us a ring, or email us, and we would be very happy to talk you through it. I think that's the end of my slideshow.
Thank you, Suzanne. There's a really good opportunity, isn't there, to tap into your specialised sort of support on these community-owned businesses, and the funding obviously is a really good opportunity to make things happen quicker, because people will have the money there. I don't know if anyone's got any questions they'd like to put to Susie. Before we move on. Now, I think what we're seeing here is such a wide range of ideas, isn't there? It's quite interesting how many different ideas, but it's all sort of that community based and that community social outcome that we're looking at. Okay, shall we move to Marina Pritchard from the ALIA? I think it's called ALIA Impact, Marina, isn't it, the organisation? And you'll explain a bit more about your offer as well to groups. Have you got any slides, or are you just going to speak?
I do have some slides, actually. Hi everybody, nice.
Hi. Do you want to share them, and then?
Yeah, so I'll do that now. 1 second. Can you see my screen? I'm just going to present.
Yeah, they've come up.
Okay.
Yeah, that's come up now.
That's great.
Yeah, full screen. Yeah.
So yeah, nice to see you all. I'm Marina, and I'm the program manager at ALIA. And yeah, today I'll just tell you a bit more about ALIA and what we do, and also a bit more about our programs, and when they'll be running, and how to apply. So ALIA, we are a social enterprise. We were founded back in 1999, and our mission really is to provide support to those people within the community that are addressing the most pressing global and local challenges. And so we try to create greater impact by enabling these organisations, these ventures and these groups to do more effectively and on a greater scale. So this is the lovely team that I work with at ALIA. So just to maybe explain a bit more about how ALIA is sort of structured, the support that we offer is threefold. So on one side, we have our Future Business Centre. So we've got spaces across Cambridge, Peterborough, and workspaces in London as well, where we have tenants and spaces for meetings and workshops. The second thing that we provide is around impact financing and funding for larger charities and social enterprises. And then the third part is where I come in, which is under the programmes. So these are free support programmes that we run for the Cambridgeshire community, and this is the lovely team that I work with that are part of that programmes team. So my background has been in venture capital, actually. So I was in the finance world beforehand, but always working with founders, and then spent some time working in an age tech social enterprise, and then moved to Alia a couple of years ago to run the Cambridgeshire programmes. And I'll tell you a bit more about those programmes and what they look like. So this is some of the impact that we've demonstrated over the past few years. So through our programmes, we've been able to support quite a few ventures, and also supported those ventures to create new jobs. So these are just some of the things that we measure in terms of our impact. And as I said, we've got Future Business Centres. So we've got 2 centres in Cambridge. There's one in the Guildhall. So we've got the ground floor and the 4th floor of the Guildhall in central Cambridge. And then we've got a centre in North Cambridge, which is where I am at the moment. And then we've also got a centre in Peterborough, just so we can have spaces where we can run our workshops, so that people within each of these areas can come in person to connect. And as I said, we've got a London hub as well. So this is separate to some of the work that I do, but we've got workspaces and build up a community in the East London area. And so, yeah, this is a list of some of the free support programs that we provide. So we've, over the past few years, run social innovation hackathons. So these are 2 days events where we get members of the public coming together to ideate and try to solve some of the problems faced within the community. So these are things that are identified by the City Council. And then the 2 programmes that I work the most on, the ones that I wanted to talk about today, are the Start Your Business programme. So this is for anyone within the community, so an individual or a group that has an idea for a social enterprise or a charity or an impact organisation, but they really don't know where to get started. So the Start Your Business programme is a 2-month-long programme with weekly workshops, and in those weekly workshops we try to cover sort of the fundamental areas of building a commercially viable impact organisation. So we try to cover marketing, sales, fundraising, bid writing, business model, technology. So we try to cover all those bases. And then we've got the Grow Your Business programme. So this is a slightly longer programme for more established social enterprises and charities within Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. And so again, we have the similar framework, which I'll talk a bit more about in a moment, with weekly workshops and content in sales and marketing and all these different areas. And yeah, so at the moment we've got currently running these programs, but we're looking to launch these programs again in January. So I'll just talk a bit more about the framework for these 2 programs that I wanted to just highlight for today. So as I mentioned, we have the workshops, the content workshops every week. So they're at a set time every week. So for the Start Your Business, it's every Monday from 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. And then for the Grow Your Business, it's every Wednesday from 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. And it's a hybrid setup, so you can either come in person to one of our centres where there's an ALIA team facilitating, or you can join online. And then as part of the programme, you do get assigned to an ALIA coach. So this is just an opportunity to meet with a coach once a month for the duration of the programme for an hour, to translate maybe the theory from the workshops into something more practical that can be applied to what you're doing. And really what we're trying to do is try to help build these peer-to-peer support networks, so getting you to connect with like-minded people that might be in similar positions or situations as you. So for example, on a Grow Your Business program, you'll meet other people that have existing social enterprise and charities within the community, so a good opportunity for networking. And then on top of that, we have a mentor network. So we, as part of the programme, after you finish the programme, you'd get the opportunity to be connected to somebody within our mentor network so that you can have continued support after the programme as well. And then because we cover quite a lot of content, we do have a resources bank where we bring together all the workshop notes, all the video recordings, and so you can keep going back to the content and rewatching and re-listening to what's being said within the workshops. We also open up the centres for co-working, so if you'll become part of the programme, you can access the Guildhall, so the space every Wednesday, so you can come along, and it's open doors, so you can just sit and use one of the spaces. And then after the programme, you become part of a wider alumni network, so you'd keep getting invited to other events that we run, other community events that we run as part of ALIA, and with some other partners and stakeholders that we work with. I just quickly wanted to run through the schedule. I mean, I'll send over the slides afterwards. I'll send them to Alison, but just to give you a bit of a snippet or an idea of the kind of content that we go through. So yeah, just a general overview. It's quite packed with different areas, you know, around fundraising, around sales and marketing, around finance, technology. So talking about the emergence of artificial intelligence, and more about how to actually go about registering. And then for the Grow Your Business program, which is around impact measurement and reporting, more in-depth marketing session and sales sessions, and more in-depth financial sessions as well. So the step ahead of the Start Your Business. So in terms of our funding, so we are also part funded by the Cambridgeshire and Peterborough Combined Authority, and Cambridgeshire Acre is part of our the partnership as well. So we're all working towards providing this offering and creating these opportunities for charities, social enterprise and impact organisations to start and grow. And I'm just sharing here some contact information if you'd like to follow us on LinkedIn or find us on our website. And what I'll also do is I'll share my personal email address. So if anyone on this call is interested, I'm very happy to get on a quick call and just go through more details. In terms of the upcoming programs, so we're launching the Start Your Business and the Grow Your Business programs again in January, and they'll run from January to March. The applications are already open, so I'll share again in the chat a link to that. But yeah, feel free to reach out to me directly and we can set up a call. I think that's everything on my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. I think from looking at what you said, Dan, the opportunities there on the training and that specialist support you've got in Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, and what the support Plunkett brings, and us all working together Cambridgeshire Acre working with both of you, and also we working with some other infrastructure organisations like Hunts Forum and Cambridge CVS. I think this is the first time this has all really been brought together. It might seem confusing because we're all saying, oh, we can support with that, we can support that, and but what I think I tried to get across, don't worry about that. I think this is about those ideas from a community level, and then we can broker to the right person to give that support. But what is good here, we've got all that support brought into one place now in the last months we've been working together, which to me is a real step forward for Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, and also for for ourselves. We're concerned with the rural areas. I think there's a lot of opportunity with that as well, to bring those rural connections in, which perhaps I think, Marina, yours has been quite town-based before, so now we've got that, and obviously Plunkett, it's great to have you working in the county and bring you alongside what we're already offering. So I think the thing is, don't worry about too many about the things. What we will do is share the pack after this, which will have information, and we've got questions and ideas, and put the right direction to the right. Anyone have any other questions they wish to ask? Any other kind of ask our presenters, or just generally share with us their ideas that they've put in the chat? No, it's all gone. No, I think I've covered everything in the chat. I'm just looking. Do any of the Marina or Susie, do you have anything else you feel you would like to add?
I think probably only just to stress the point that you just made, Kirsten, about it being partnership. And if somebody comes to Plunkett and we feel that Cambridgeshire Acre would be better placed to support, or they've got the specialist knowledge that inquirer needs, we will signpost. So yeah, I think it's a great position for all of us to be in at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think it matters who someone approaches. They can approach who they feel can help them best, and if that's not right, we can signpost to the next person, because we're all working together. I think what we've done in this meeting, we've brought it all together for the first time to share it, and we need to continue sharing that now with everyone, don't we, and other partners as well, so people know. And I'm definitely, from Cambridgeshire Acres point of view, like I said, I think this is a real opportunity for us to get this out further to rural areas, and to make sure through our very strong networks in those areas at a very community level, we can bring forward programs and projects that might not have, people that might not have considered going to, say, I don't know, Alia's town hall hub. Probably they wouldn't, because they're an awful long way, but actually that sits there and that can be accessed virtually. We just need to make sure we've connected that all up. I don't know if there's anything more you want to add, Alison, from anything you think we might have missed, or Lisa?
No, I don't think so. I'm just going to say, obviously, what I'll do tomorrow is I'll circulate the recording, I'll circulate everybody's slides, everybody's contact details, and yeah, just echoing, please get in. It doesn't matter who you contact, get in contact with one of us, and we'll make sure your query's dealt with. Yeah.
Oh, and Susie's mentioned this plough and fleece event. We will send that is a really good opportunity to meet us all in person, a free lunch included as well. You don't often get that these days, so a good offer there, and we'd love to meet as many people who can come along to that. Nick, you've asked, assume lobbying for legal changes outside your remit. Probably depends what the situation. We don't usually get on very much lobbying for legal change from what we do, but we could we can definitely talk to you about your project, and particularly as it involves a village hall and a parish council. So obviously we work with them. We work with parish councils and village halls. So yeah. So anybody, I think we've probably got two projects on here, or even 3 projects, where we could perhaps get going with a one-to-one scoping meeting. If from this you have a think about it, people wish to do that, we'll contact you after this meeting to follow up on that. That would be a really good starting point, and we'll send the link, put it in the chat, but we will resend that booking link to that plough and fleece in Horningsea event. So I'm just checking. I think I've covered. Just tell me, Lisa, you've been monitoring the chat. I think I've covered everything in it, haven't I? I'm scrolling back up, but I think we have been through everything in it. So
I've made a note of the questions, Kirsten, and I'll drop a line to anybody who asks the question tomorrow, so I can make contact with. I've got Nick, James, and Tim. So
yeah,
I'll
that would be
expect
really.
an email from me in the morning.
Yeah, if you want to back up between now and tomorrow, you can. Yeah, Lisa will contact you directly, and we'll obviously tomorrow we've got the recording of this, which we'll download for people that signed up and didn't attend, but we'll also send you this pack of information that we've gathered through these slides through doing this event. So I'd like to thank you for attending. We haven't used up the whole hour and a half, but I think everybody's probably quite glad to get half an hour back at this time of day. So I'd like to say thank you, and I see this as a starting point. So please keep in touch with us, follow all our social media, etc. And we will be in touch. So thank you very much, and thank you our presenters. That's great. Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Good night.
Thanks.
Have a good evening. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.